And here I'm relying not just on Stark, but on a scholar named Brian Pavlak, professor of history, who's written a book on the subject and has a website. Pavlak is spelled Pavlac. So, how many in the European witch executions? And he says the best estimates of recent historians range from 50 to 200,000. He compares it to the earlier estimates. He says, the 9 to 10 million numbers, gross exaggerations. No respectable historian supports them anymore. And for the reasons that we've mentioned before, that there are documents available now that have been released in the 20th century that weren't available before. And so people could get more accurate information. So
Now, you said 50
go
to
ahead.
200,000?
Between 50 to 200,000 is what Pavlak says.
So 50,000 or 50?
50,000, excuse
Okay.
me. Yes, yeah.
Because that was a big range there.
Yeah, yeah. From 1 to 200,000. No. And I've heard some say 40,000 as the lower range. His 200,000 number is the highest range I've seen. Most people, the vast majority, say either 50 or 60. That's the most common number that's brought up. But he's being quite liberal here, I guess, in terms of what the possibilities are. And he says, I don't want to minimize the impact, this number of lives lost. But we're talking about a much smaller number over a long period of time, 3.5 to 4 centuries, we're talking. Now, Stark says competent scholars recently have assembled the evidence nation by nation and found the so-called accepted totals of the past utterly ridiculous. It's in England, for example. It was assumed in England that from 1600 to 1680, about 42,000 witches were burnt. But the most trustworthy figure, he says, turns out to be fewer than 1,000 over a period of 3 centuries. In a similar fashion, here's his statement for all of Europe. The death toll, not 9 million, but about 60,000. And he emphasizes, again, that is a tragic total. So I just want to clear that up off the top. We're not talking about millions, but we are talking about tens of thousands in England, and that is serious.